Thank you for joining us this afternoon, and we're going to be talking today about the new man that Paul or Shoal makes reference to in the book of Ephesians. And one of the things that's very important for us as believers that have truly been born of the Ruach of Yahuah is to understand that once that happens, that immediately, as we've already talked about in our past teachings about, therefore if any man be in Mashiach, he's a new creature, old things are passed away and all things have become new. Now the things that have become new, it's talking about the inner man, the man on the inside that you can't see. Because there's a man on the inside that's the real you. You can see our natural flesh and our bodies, but the real person that you are is on the inside of this flesh. Paul wrote in 1 Thessalonians, I think it is chapter 5 verse 23, says, I pray Yahuah's spirit, soul, and body be preserved blameless unto the coming of Yahushua HaMashiach. So man basically is spirit, soul, and body. And they're all different. The spirit of man is basically, from what I understand from the scriptures, is that when Adam fell and he became united with Satan, actually spiritually he became united with him. Yahuah told Adam that the day that you eat of this fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, he said, if you do, then on that day you shall surely die. Well, we know that what happened and that he did, but he physically didn't die for, I think, 900 something years before he actually physically died. But he did die on that day that he ate, but he died spiritually. I believe at that moment that the moment that he did that spirit that entered into man, he became a child united with the devil. He became a child of the devil. That's why it was of necessity for in order for Yahuah to redeem his man, he would have to impart his spirit or give him a new creation, make him. That's why the scripture talks about that Yahushua said in John chapter 3 that a man must be born again in order the kingdom of Yahuah, because there has to be a new birth within inside of man in order to change the process of what in Adam's fall, when he united himself with Satan. And Ephesians, I've got over in Ephesians, we're going to start reading. Let me read verse chapter 2 and verse, we'll start at verse 1. And you hath he quickened or made alive who were dead in trespasses and sins. Now this is talking about before you received the Mashiach, before you were born from above, you were dead in your trespasses and sins, where in time past you walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air. And notice this next verse here. The spirit that now works in the children of disobedience, or the Ruach that now works in the children of disobedience. And that's a description of those that are outside the kingdom of Yahuah. There's a spirit that operates in them that causes them to be the children of disobedience, and they're really spiritually, I like to put it this way, they're related to Satan in the fact that they are children of the devil. They're children of Satan. And whether you recognize that or realize that or not, before you were born from above, if you're a believer, that's who you were. And so it was a necessity that you be born again or born from above by receiving the Ruach of Yahuah in order to change who we had become. And so this verse here says, among whom we all had our conversation or lifestyle in times past in the lust or the desires of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh, and were by nature, notice this, we were by nature the children of wrath, even as others. Now I'm going to read that again. Verse 3 of chapter 2. It says, among whom also we all had our conversation or lifestyle in times past in the lust of our flesh. Now you can relate to that if you understand that before you were born from above, you were not being led of the Spirit, not having the Spirit within you. You're not lived according to the dictates of the flesh. In other words, whatever our flesh would lead us and direct us and guide us to, we were in bondage to that because that was our nature. You know, I've always said this before, you know, it's the nature of the sinner to act like a sinner. I mean, we shouldn't surprise us to see that people lie, they steal, they kill one another, they do horrible things to each other. And why do they do that? Well, it's because it's their nature to do that. You know, it's the nature of a dog to bark, and it's the nature of a cat to say meow. But, you know, man's nature was, because of his fallen state, was to act like the devil, like his father, the devil. Well, you know, Yahuah has come to give us his life, to impart his nature to us. And it says here, we were by nature. In other words, we were by nature. In other words, it was natural for man to act like a sinner because that's who he had become. That's why you can't be justified by just keeping the 10 Commandments or the law, because that wouldn't change who you are. You could only, in fact, Yahuah gave us the law. The law is talked about, or the Torah is given to us as a picture to show us, to lead us to the Mashiach, to the Messiah. See, because of man's inability to keep the 10 Commandments, not that we shouldn't, we should strive to keep the 10 Commandments, but you can't be justified. The Scripture says, for by the law or the Torah came by Moses, and by grace and truth, or Yahuwah's favor, came by Yahushua HaMashiach. In other words, man could not be justified just by keeping the Torah. He had to have a new birth. He had to be born from above in order to enter the kingdom of Yahuwah, because it was a necessity that Yahuwah change our nature, who we had become. That's why we can now declare that we're now children of Yahuwah. As 1 John chapter 3 verse 1 says, now, beloved, now are we the children of Yahuwah, and it does not yet appear what we shall be. But we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. I'm going to pick back up on our next session, and we're going to go read more in the book of Ephesians, and we're going to talk about the new man that lives on the inside. As Paul says, let the new man on the inside dominate your life. Let people see, and you demonstrate on the outside the real man that's on the inside, so people can know of what